Off top. The is frame mugging. Play music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show. I'm joined by Charlie Kravitz as usual and special guests from David Samson, Nothing Personal. It's the one and only David Samson. What up, brother?
It's a road game, baby. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I hope we listen. Where do you want to start? Because I got MLB labor stuff. I have NFL, NBA. I'm very worked up on this random moment that you are asking me to be on your show.
Well,
but it's good
first,
to see you.
I appreciate that you're on the show. I appreciate the energy. I appreciate that you called it a road game, but it doesn't matter. Like, we argue about everything, and you've never gotten a dub. Like, not one time have you won. Like, maybe I'll throw this one because I feel sorry for you because you lose to me in all sports business debates. It always happens.
So who is the judge and jury? Is it you deciding that you've never lost, or is it the world? Just is it the USA? I'm curious. Where do you get that?
No,
from?
it's these.
Okay.
All right, Charlie.
And you're the most handsome.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Thank you. I am. I agree. I want to start with the NBA stuff because this feels like it's a crescendo. Like we were talking about this. The last few days, Dominique, where it feels like NBA All-Star Weekend is sort of emblematic of a lot of the issues the league has right now. And this is after, a week where the Utah Jazz, and like, I don't, this is, if I have to say allegedly, or if it's just fair because of the fines, intentionally lost basketball games, tanking to a different level. One of the things you've talked about, the incentive structure of the league, and the noise has gotten loud around Adam Silver, whether or not he is actually a wartime commissioner and someone who views this as a league in crisis the way that basketball fans view it, and people like me. So when the first thing I want to ask to you is, am I overstating the issues in the league right now? Am I overstating the issues with Silver? How do you feel?
I don't think so. I think that I've been avoiding going in on these topics because it feels like there's no reason to have these conversations. Like, I want to enjoy the basketball and watch the basketball. So I've been what?
What a great way to start a show. There is no reason to listen to what I'm about to say.
No, that's not at all what I'm saying. I'm setting up the topic. I'm saying the opposite, actually. Be patient, man. Like, I don't know. I could guess, but you don't always have to be in a hurry.
Well, also, we were avoiding doing the thing where we go right after Super Bowl and then start complaining about the NBA. We're like, we want to enjoy this.
They like it when you take your time, David. Let that be a note to you. Put that in. Just put it in memory. Take your time. They like it, okay? You don't always got to be in a rush, all right? Just remember that. So
you're not divorced by accident, man.
As I was saying, that I've been wanting to avoid making this a big deal, but it feels like I can't anymore, right? Like it feels like overreaction, or it felt like overreaction. But now, like, with what has gone on in this All-Star weekend and leading up to it, the conversation feels like we're at a point now where obviously I've always been against tanking, and I've always been one of the more outspoken people about how unethical I think it is to tank for what it means to the other organizations and to the players on your team. But this is a problem with the NBA, combined with the fact that it's become like a bureaucratic nonsense, whereas some guys are foul baiting. Some teams are trying to fix their roster so that they can get their picks back. Some teams are all teams are doing like this three-point shooting maxing, to use one of Charlie's words. Like, it feels like a lot of
Definitely
things.
Not my word.
It's a lot of things that is wrong with the league, combined with the 65-game rule. It's just rule after rule to create this bureaucracy that they think is going to encourage a solution to the league, but it just makes the league look silly. We add a play-in game. We got a mid-season or in-season tournament. It just feels like this league is flailing and not actually making any substantive changes that will positively impact this league going forward.
I just don't understand from whence you come. And so let's start with one thing. Tanking versus throwing. Very different concepts. Throwing a game is when the 5 players on the court say, we are purposefully going to lose the game. I'm not sure that's what we're talking about. We're talking about coaches and front offices who choose which players to put on the court. Maybe not their best players. They're sitting their stars in the fourth quarter. Maybe they're choosing not to play certain players at certain times. But the players on the court are professional players who are not trying to lose a game. So we're not alleging that anyone's throwing games. Are we alleging that there are rosters that are put together not to win?
Oh,
If
and
that's
David,
what you're
I meant
alleging-
specifically the substitution patterns that essentially, Will Hardy, the Jazz coach, was frustrated with of taking his best players. They actually ended up winning the game, which is ironic, but trying to take off their best players in a way that they hadn't substituted in the past to try and, goose the
I think that's a fair distinction you're making, tanking versus throwing. I think that I said tanking, but whatever difference it makes, I think we all know what we're talking about. And whether the Jazz won that game or not, we know for certain that teams in the NBA are trying to improve their draft status. They're like intentionally making their teams worse, be it for a quarter or for the extent of a season. And that to me is problematic.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that in football?
It hasn't been as overt. If we have, I've never. I can't think of a team in football that I know. Like the one team that I accused of tanking actually wasn't tanking. The Miami Dolphins. Like I thought they were
Stephen
terrible,
Ross wanted them.
and I was all upset about how they were going to throw the
Allegedly.
season. But how they were going to tank the season, and they ended up not. And Brian Flores did well with that team. So I really can't think of a team. I'm sure that there are lots of teams. I think for football, it happens at the end of the season. Like you'll sometimes get a team in the 16th game or the 17th game that is clear that they're not going to start their starting quarterback. But it's not as nearly as prevalent as it is in basketball.
Yeah, I guess I would just say running a team, here's what was in my head, and I was bad at it for 17 out of 18 years, only one ring in 18 years, because I always thought, hey, we got a shot. We're 1 10-game winning streak away from being right back in it. Let's try to acquire players if we can when it's at least reasonable. And what I was taught, and it was way before analytics, is that being in the middle is the worst plan ever. But I didn't want to believe that because to me, you can't go from the bottom to the top within a season. But if you're right in the middle, you can get a winning streak and then win. But what you're seeing now is teams just recognizing what they've known for 25 years or more, that being in the middle doesn't make sense. So you might as well either be bad or be good. And not everybody can be good every year.
Well, let's address this a little bit because Adam Silver has actually acknowledged that tanking is a problem and it's getting worse and it's happening early and earlier in seasons. You have, I think, around 8 teams who are trying to have a record that could get them, potentially in that top 3 to draft, whether you view them as franchise players, franchise altering players, potential all-stars, whatever, Darren Peterson, AJ Demancic, Cameron Boozer. And he, for the first time, has said he's open to any and all fixes, including abolishing the draft, docking teams' draft picks if they tank. And some of this stuff has gone back. I mean, tanking has gone on for the year that David Robinson got hurt and the Spurs were able to tank for Tim Duncan. It became part of the national zeitgeist with the process reported on by Pablo. But it's 8 teams this early in the season, roster stuff happening in February, not the end of the season when they've been eliminated from playoff contention, is really unique. And it's not just the Jazz. It's the Wizards trading for Trae Young and Anthony Davis with the plan of having them sit for the rest of the season to try and make them worse while the team was starting to figure it out with young guys. It's load management, which I don't know how you want to fit into that, because there's also an injury problem in the NBA where we're seeing stars get injured with Achilles injuries at a younger rate. It's a competitive issue that starts with tanking but expands out. Like you talked about intentionally throwing games, David. There are NBA players like Jonte Porter and Terry Rozier and Malik Beasley who have been accused of gambling. I'm just saying, genuinely, they're beyond all the competitive issues. The NBA's had one thing after the other involved with the competitive balance of the league in the regular season, where guys have called for shorter seasons, different ways of wrestling. And the rule that you talked about, Domonique, we lauded the 65 game rule initially, even though we thought it was stupid. We had to make a rule for adults being like, guys should play 3/4 of the season. Well, now we're in a situation where potentially the two best players in the league might not be eligible for the MVP, and an award that was really significant might go to someone that feels like a historic outlier this season. Because
so much of this pisses me off. But David,
I know, I was laying out the rules of engagement for what we're talking about with why Adam Silver addressed that this weekend and why it's reaching a fervor pitch.
Can we do two quick corrections? One,
please.
It's not early in the NBA season.
Midway through, dog days.
It's
early for
past
tanking.
Midway. Look at the records of the teams. There's like 28, 30 games left. We're well past midway. And the second thing I want to address is what you're saying about all the issues facing Adam Silver and how now he's taking it seriously. Actually, that's not true. When you're in the league, you've got these committees, the competition committee, you have strategic planning committee, and they're looking at issues not just today, but far into the future. And the issue of how to distribute amateur talent or how to man teams, that has been going on since the beginning of time. What is the most fair way? The biggest difference, and that Adam Silver dealt with really, is the change he made really starting this year, where it's about social media. It's about influencers. It's about non-journalists who are having huge platforms, huge audiences, and saying all these things that are making Adam react. But deep down, Domonique, when he closes his eyes at night, he knows about his revenues. He knows about his TV deal. He knows about the value of his franchises. He does not think for 1 second that his league is in crisis.
Yeah, I assumed that we were going to get here at some point. It's earlier than I anticipated. But I guess my question for you is, do you think that's right? Because I think that to some degree that Adam Silver is protected by the fact that the franchise values are going up and revenue is going up. But it's not as a result of any of the decisions that Adam Silver has made. Like, franchise values and revenues are going up across all sports because TV, the structure of media has changed, and TV has become, or sports is one of the few places where you can guarantee people will advertise. So sports values have gone up. Like, it hasn't been a result. And I think the dangerous thing is the league, it's hard to argue that the quality of the basketball in the regular season or the overall quality of the league is getting better, despite the fact that the revenues are getting better. So I think that's incredibly dangerous situation to find yourself in, where you continue to perpetuate these problems because the ultimate deciding factor in whether things are good or bad is how much money is coming in. When we know, obviously, at some point, maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but at some point, the ecosystem in which that they live, where they're being so profitable, will change. And at that point, they would have built up this behemoth that's hard to move and hard to change, that is ineffective because they have not. Do you agree that the franchise values are and the revenue is disconnected from the quality of the product?
Just to interject for 1 second, since 2015, the MLS average team valuation has gone from $157 million to $767 million, according to Sportico. So, like, part of this is with streamers, with the way that sports and live sports have been digested. Right. There was going to be an inherent spike in team valuations because of the values of live sports. And I think I understand why, if you're an owner of an NBA team, you could be happy theoretically with Adam Silver if you think his job is to make your asset more valuable. But I do think in a certain way that's obfuscating potentially how we should look at Adam Silver over the last several weeks and last few months, and about how he is for this job. And if you can view this as a league in crisis beyond the franchise valuations, because David, I personally, and I'm coming in at this, Domonique, you played. David, obviously you've run teams. I viewed this as from the nerdiest sports fan perspective, but it is 3 buckets that the commissioner has to hit. It's working for the players. It's, in theory, I know Silver has done that more than other commissioners, working with the players to have a positive league for them, working for the owners for the sport to be valuable, and being a steward of the game for the fans. And I feel, as a fan of that, Silver has been derelict in his duty in that, and he hasn't actually made a product that has been commensurate with the spiking values. And it's something I think could get worse. Like, this feels very, very out of whack and not getting better.
I would love the competition committee to take a look at some rules, and I don't want to do a look at me, Louie, but I grew up with Red Holzman, and I was lucky enough to have a relationship with him, former coach of the Knicks. He won the 2 titles with them, and I happen to have known Pat Riley, and I want to tell you why this matters. Pat Riley and I would talk all the time about basketball in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, and what has changed to make it a game that we don't recognize anymore. And it is the same thing in so many other facets of our life as I get older, as Pat got older. It's that the game is not meant for the 57-year-old white guy. They are trying to figure out a way to engage people who are not engaging with the sport, hence influencers. Analytics has taken over, and I am not going to tell you I hate analytics. What I will tell you is careful what you wish for. You want to know why it's all threes that are taken? Because what people have realized by studying it and by numbers is that it makes no sense to take a 2-point shot from the elbow. None at all. You are better off taking the 3. So what the competition committee is doing is looking at, do we screw around with the 3-point line? Do we make it worth 2 points and not 3 points? Do we move it back? What do we do to maybe change to get back to pick and roll basketball or the way it used to be? So while they're looking at that, Domonique, they're asking themselves, why are we doing that again? Because my job is to increase the value of the franchise. Done. My job is to increase revenue. Done. My job is very, very secondarily to do something for the old aging fans. It's actually not that.
I think where we disagree is that it's not about doing something for the old aging fans. And I think that, to be fair, to be honest, it probably wasn't fair of me to describe it as like a single style, because I think you could point to a number of teams that work a little bit more in the mid-range, like some of the best players. Like SGA is a lot more comfortable in the mid-range.
All the best players can shoot. Have always been able to shoot wherever they want on the floor. Right. That's not commensurate with the rest of the league.
But my point is I'm not arguing that they should be concerned about changing the game to engage the old fans and make it more like what it used to be. We can go back to last year when they mysteriously changed the way that they were going to call fouls, and like the quality of the game seemed to have gotten better. My only point is, if you only use franchise value and revenue as your only like indicator of health of your league, you are missing which seems to be the obvious thing, that the quality of the games as a result of having 82 of them, and as a result of us only like focusing on the playoffs and 8 teams on both sides getting into the playoffs, and the draft lottery being existing, like all of these things come together to make these games less and less consequential. To your point, they want to make events. The NBA games at some point were more events. They aren't now. Like it feels like an extended preseason. And if you can only point to franchise value and revenue as your sign that you're doing well, I think you're missing the fact that the game is slightly deteriorating slowly in front of our eyes.
When you are an executive at a company, just take any company you want, and you're paid, if you're a sales guy, on commission. You know how I always used to do, side note, quick side story, I would change the commission structure of our salespeople because I would always learn what they were going to sell by how the commission structure went, and I could arrange it so they would sell certain things that I wanted sold, because salespeople are going to sell what will give them the most money. That is a very simple thing you can learn from your sales guys as to what's working and what's not. When it comes to sports or any company, what are you judging by? By this sort of thought that you have that certain games are not as good or that the product is not as good. And I may agree with you, but the indicators can't be what we sort of think. The indicators are what is.
Right. And I think this is why I've come around to be a lot more critical of Adam Silver, is because I get what you're saying. But the point of someone in that position has to be or should be able to see beyond that. And I get your point. Leadership is not just responding to the indicators. Like, leadership is having vision and understanding and being able to be prepared for other things, and not just saying, oh, this number means that. You could teach anyone to react to a specific number. Leadership is building a coalition of owners to enact the changes that you want, to building a coalition of players to enact the changes that you need. This is not leadership. What we're seeing now from Adam Silver and the NBA is not leadership. It's not even react. Or I guess it is. It's reacting to public pressure and not having built the coalition to do anything impactful. It's like, oh, we're not getting enough, or the tanking's a problem. All right, let's shift the draft lottery numbers, which it hasn't gone away. All right, these regular season games don't seem to matter. Let's insert a mid-season tournament. Let's put a play-in game to make people play more. And none of it is actually having the effect that we want. Let's put this 65-game limit in to ensure that our best players are playing and they're playing harder. And all this stuff is happening, and we still aren't getting the result that we anticipate because they're just reacting to the indicators.
But Domonique, that's not right what you're saying. The 65-game load management rule was put in during negotiations for the new TV deals that were already struck, which is why I think that rule is going to go away, because the streamers wanted to make sure that when they had windows, national windows, that in exclusive windows, that they were getting the best players playing during those games. And so the NBA said, no problem. We're going to make sure that we have a system where if you sit during a national game, you're going to be fined. And by the way, if you don't play 65 or more games, you're not going to get hardware. And the CBA says if you're not all NBA, you don't get the maximum amount of money in comp that you could get, which is why players are going to want to play because they're going to want to be able to make as most money as they can. But now that they've done the TV deals, I think you're going to see that switch. And because now they're locked in. So I think that 65 number will go away. But in terms of player and player buy-in, I'm not sure who are you talking to where players are telling you that the current CBA is not working for them.
Well, it says,
I think you're missing the whole point though, David.
Hold on. There are a couple things here just to help bridge the gap here. One, like the changes that are made, a lot of which are like gimmick and smaller changes and like things around the fringes that are reactive to media narratives. Those are not things that a league that feels good about their product does. Those are changes made because of direct concerns from the consumers and the other stuff. And if you want to talk current CBA, this is a different thing, which is the second apron, which is objectively bad for players consider making the maximum amount of money they could because teams are going to be fighting tooth and nail to stay under this hard cap, which is that is something that, and look, I mean, you're not going to have me like complaining if a player makes $68 versus $75 million, which I know is something that Bill Simmons has talked about with this. But I do want to direct you guys on this of like how we move forward, because there's been a lot of narrative that Silver should be acting more like David Stern would have, which is like a tougher commissioner, someone who's not.
Yeah, that drives me nuts.
I think this is a narrative that's been out there, and like this started with Adam Silver being the player commissioner who said that Donald Sterling was banned for life, and it was this change from Silver. But do you think that's even possible? Is it feasible to have a tough guy commissioner like Stern in this league? And like, do you think Silver has sort of gone past the point of no return of behaving that way, because like he has not really been that guy?
Are you forgetting the things that happened under David Stern just because he's dead? I mean, can we go through the laundry list of things in the NBA, from cocaine scandals to betting scandals to fights in the stands? I'm just not sure exactly what you mean. I
think the concept. So the concept is that when those things happen, David Stern, which I think it's inarguable, David Stern reacted a little bit more aggressively and unilaterally to any of the issues that were within the league. Those are the stories that we get. That's the myth of David Stern.
And he got through all of it to put the NBA in a really good place.
And he did. And he left the game in a great place. And I think that people who are critical of Adam Silver would say that David Stern would never let anything like this happen. I personally, that's when I get a little bit more defensive of Adam Silver, because I think that's just, we're in a different time now. Like, David Stern entered the league in a time when the money was not as free, or the money wasn't as high as it is now, and the owners were not as powerful as they are now. And so I think it's a little unfair to put out there. How about, David, do you disagree with that?
You guys aren't old enough, but when I was growing up, the NBA Finals, there were games on at 11:30 Eastern on tape delay.
Yeah.
And that sounds obviously insane to you as people are thinking about, I can't believe the All-Star games at 5 p.m. Eastern. Why isn't it at night? TNT did it better. Well, guess what? NBC paid a ton of money and they've got a programming schedule. They've got the All-Star game. They had the Olympics before. They have the Olympics after. It's exactly put where NBC wanted it. And the NBA was fine with that because they got paid for it. A starting time of 5 p.m. versus 8 p.m. It literally doesn't occur to anyone inside the NBA to say, well, that's terrible. You're not respecting us in that way. So there's just a lot of change that people get upset about, but they're not really looking back upon it years later and reflecting and saying, oh, I guess that actually was better. So I just think we're too early to judge what it is to live in this streaming world, even though it feels like we've been here forever. It's just starting, the impact that streamers have on live sports and what it will mean to the in-arena product and to the overall regular season versus playoff product.
But one thing on this, David, do you remember when Rob Manfred called the World Series trophy a hunk of metal?
Of course.
And how much that pissed off people?
Of course.
All of these behaviors, whether you want to apply them to Silver or the league, are just kind of that same idea put into practice of like, oh, the only thing that matters is valuations. Like this is all like illusory. The importance of the games, of the finals, of the tradition, of the awards, et cetera, et cetera. And that's how like whether it's explicitly stated or not, that's how I feel as a fan. Silver's actions have affected the league over the last decade.
What a bunch of power you're giving him. It really is amazing.
He's the face to it then.
Well, he certainly, that's the commissioner's job. You don't think Roger Goodell is the face of all that is ill if there, to the extent there's anything wrong with the NFL.
Nothing.
And we know the NFL may be perfect.
Yep.
Roger Goodell's the face. That's just part of the job. That's why you make the big bucks, is you stand there and take it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when I was anticipating having you on, I expected to hear you like make a case to defend this or even admit that it's a problem. But it seems to me like I can't even get you to like engage directly with the idea that there should have been things done differently up until this point. And
well, of course I feel that though, Domonique. Of course, listen, you always want things to be perfect. Whenever you're running an organization, you're never going to do everything right. Do I think Adam
I guess
Silver
there's a high enough number of missteps that I feel like it deserves criticism, and it doesn't hit. I can't hear you criticizing or defending, and like it doesn't even sound like you're defending the franchise valuations and revenue growth as a reason for everything being okay. Like you also acknowledge that the NBA is not in a great place.
We're taping this during the All-Star game where it's the fourth format in 4 years, the night after a dunk contest where Jackson Hayes literally just walked up and dunked. Like, and Keyshawn Johnson was doing TikTok dances before every single dunk and won it with like a dunk that, like, if this was 26 years ago in the year 2000, not a single one of the contestants makes it out of the first round. Like, genuinely with the same dunks.
I don't know them. Yeah, it's
not even we don't know them. It's just that like with like Brady, Carter, Steve Francis one, like they're not even like this is just a crescendo of like the product of it, and like I don't know. I guess the thing that I'm saying about it is like there's a lot of things to talk about, issues with the NBA beyond the deals of this, and we need to. It's for the sake of this debate, David. We all agree that they're making more money, but for the concept of what we want to talk about here, we need to address like think that they're at face value are some issues with the league that need to be addressed.
But of course, that's not a debate. Both sides would say that. Players would say that, and owners would say it. Everybody who's involved in any organization says it always. Mm-hmm. The NFL is still tinkering around with the Pro Bowl format because you want everything to be an event. You want everything to be better. You're asking me if I'm critical of Adam Silver. If you listen to Nothing Personal, I am very critical, and I will be again during the course of this week.
What's your biggest criticism of Adam Silver right now?
Is that I believe that he is not in any way engaging with the players from a disciplinary standpoint or the owners, and that it has become a game where truly the power of the player and the power of the owner have become so overwhelming that the office of the commissioner is not a leader anymore. It's not even a glorified babysitter. The office of the commissioner has really just become like the NCAA, like the IOC, like FIFA. It's become an organization that is rife with corruption and rife with, in my opinion, I would say, people that don't understand what the best interests of their sport really are.
Wow.
Now we agree on all this stuff. The premise of this has been put into place. So this is where someone like David Stern or a more hard-nosed commissioner theoretically would behave differently, which was the premise of this. Whether or not it was David Stern in the early 80s or how we have remembered David Stern now, whatever is real, whatever is made up, the theoretical parts of this. But we also have a league now where a third of the league is trying to intentionally get a better draft pick by losing, whether it's not throwing games, but tanking around this. And it's been written about extensively, and it's not a made up vibes thing. It's not a made up vibes thing. So if you're Adam Silver, if you're the commissioner of the league and you've lost control of this, whether you're not working effectively for the players or the teams, and the NBA he's gone to the dais as the face of this, saying they are serious about eliminating tanking. They are acknowledging this is a problem. What do?
Stop right there. That is not, he lied to you. When he sat there and said, we fined the Jazz $500,000, we fined the Pacers $100,000, we are serious. We'll look at everything, he said, like it was one of the great epiphanies of all time. We look at everything every year. So nothing's different this year.
But now he's talking about getting rid of the draft.
$500,000 is not going to do anything to stop tanking. Nothing. Because the acquisition costs of a player, it is always better to get a player in the draft. It's better in baseball, football, basketball. It is the most cost-effective way. Do you want to know how to get rid of the issue?
Yes.
Get rid of the draft. And people are saying it can't happen. That's ridiculous. I've been in favor of that for over 2 decades. I want immediate free agency, and I want free agency for every player every year. I want the young players to make as much as they can in the market if they're good, and I want players to get paid based on performance, not past performance. So you want to get rid of tanking? You want to get rid of issues with the lottery? Get rid of all of it. Full free agency. I never got to 23 votes, but I was not alone.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously you get me excited with get rid of the draft and eliminate the salary cap and full free agency, right? That's what we're talking about. I'd be happy with all of that.
I didn't say get rid of the salary cap. That's a different issue. Now, listen, I've been in a sport, my career without a salary cap. You're in a career, you in a sport with a salary cap. We could argue that the salary cap really does not impact the upper class. It really is the middle class that gets squozed completely in almost every instance. And what I would want as a player is to get paid as much as I could, as young as I am.
This is a debate that gets away from the conversation. I think that you raise, no, it's fine. You raised some interesting points, but that still limits the earning power of the players. I guess the point that we're trying to get to, or you and I agree that something needs to be done. It's what should be done, and is there something about the leadership that Adam Silver has displayed that should be changed, should be different? To me, it seems obvious that it should be, and it's about amassing some level of power through a coalition of owners that will listen to him and will follow him, and not in basketball, it's different, and a coalition of players. It doesn't feel like he has that coalition. It feels like he's a lawyer who works for them, which obviously he is, but also it's his responsibility, because everyone else, it's his responsibility to have a vision and to explain that vision to a group of powerful people well enough so that they will follow it. Because right now it feels like he is reacting to how an owner feels at any particular moment, or a star player at any particular moment, and he's giving them what they want in the moment, which is fine. I get it, but that's not your job. I understand the job is hard, but the job is, to me at least, to display some sort of vision and create some buy-in for that vision. Fundamentally in this, what I hate about all of this is so many of these people are super successful, free market capitalist people who've made a ton of money, who somehow find it okay to create a team that is trying to undercut everyone else and still gets money. That's like the appeal of the regulation or the relegation in European soccer. It's like, look, you cannot be a McDonald's franchise and sell burgers and still get a dispensation check. Like, that's essentially what these teams are doing. And I hate it. It makes me sick. The idea that you would purposely suck and still make money and then get rewarded for purposely sucking, and then also feel that everything that you've earned and all the success you have is a result of your hard work and ingenuity, not a result of any sort of handouts. But you're still standing in line for handouts. It annoys me.
The league's going to be 500, Domonique, no matter what rules you have. No matter what, every single year, the league is 500. And I want to put a premium on intelligence. If the Cubs can lose 100 games 3 years in a row and then win a ring, or the Astros can lose 100 games 3 seasons in a row and then be a dynasty, and there's other teams who lose perpetually, like the Jets or the Dolphins, and can never rebuild, that's more an indictment of the front office than it is of anything else. And you can't legislate away stupidity. You just can't. So I don't really spend much time trying.
Well, you can't. It's not intelligence, man. It's not. You can't encourage people to behave. So I guess what really stresses me out about this is you can't make a rule for everything, and we've gotten into a world where somehow it's acceptable to behave with no integrity. It just publicly lack integrity and behave in that way. And that's what these teams are doing. And it makes me angry, and it bothers me, and it pisses me off. And ultimately, there'll never be a rule that we can create that will have these people not try to skirt it. But there was a time, at least I was convinced as a fan, that everyone was doing their best. Well, I no longer feel like that, and it makes me mad.
This is one of the tanking is obviously a huge part of it. Where we are a pro player podcast, but we know that Silver has done things that have been really beneficial for player salaries, and they've ballooned to certain things, but there are just like a lot of problems with the competition of the league right now beyond how Adam Silver was going to fix it. And like, I don't have those answers, but I do believe that the commissioner, while doing these things, whether we talk about the bureaucratic process or not, has to be a steward and has to be trying to fix these in radical ways, which is like when you circle all the way back to Manfred, who's like, I see the league's biggest problem. Our television product isn't fast enough. We need to fix that. And if you're looking at me, if I'm looking now at like, what's the NBA's biggest problem? It's like, we have a lot of not competitive basketball. It doesn't feel like the cool sport anymore. You have a lot of teams tanking because of the incentive structure of X, Y, and Z. And whether you're looking at the symptom or the cause of it, like, these owners are the franchise evaluation is going to go up. The TV deals are signed. The players are making $70 million a year. If you need to make the season shorter to make guys compete, you have to do it. At this point, like, we're going to look up, and basketball is going to be in a spot where it is like incrementally less popular year after year after year after year if these changes aren't made from the fans' perspective. And if I was Adam Silver, or if I was his board of directors or someone, that would be a deep concern for me, that other sports are getting more popular and figuring it out, and ours is, which had always been the cool guy sport, which has always been built on these players being massive celebrities, is becoming considerably less cool. And the product is considerably less cool.
I'm happy to have you end it like that. It's just not based on fact, but I love you.
It's
guys.
not. It's not. It's totally based on my feelings.
Okay.
Yeah, but, I mean,
100%.
But I guess that's where you. All right. Well, we could shut it down, but that's where you lose me, David. It's like you believe that it feels like you believe that we live in like an old numbers based world. Like I think anyone, which I'm sure
I don't like it,
but we don't. We don't, David. We don't. Like, you can choose to make decisions that way, but that's not how things operate. Like, the people who have long-term success are the people who recognize that and can see that things are changing before they change. Like, waiting till the numbers tell you that something has changed is how you get disrupted. Like, it's a business story as old as time. And you being unwilling to accept that, to me, is mind-blowing. This is not where I thought our disagreement was going to be. I thought it was going to be about many other things. The disagreement was not going to be, I thought it was obvious to all of us that we're seeing these signs and something needs to change, but maybe not. Of course, it's not going to be based on.
I probably used to watch 120 regular season NBA games a year.
And maybe, things change. Like,
no, I work in sports. It's just like,
no, I'm saying, like, not just you, just in general, like boxing, horse race, like we can, like, things change.
I know. I just mean, like, I'm supposed to be the type of fan who is like,
I know
this isn't that big of a problem. I can still watch it, X, Y, and Z. And that's like, I'm I'm telling you, my experience, my feelings on it, not my facts, my feelings on it.
David doesn't respect your anecdotal evidence, right, David?
I don't respect anecdotal evidence in general. It's not just about Charlie. And I'm not Mr. Analytics, but when I see what same-store sales are, or when I'm looking at what the facts are of my ticket revenue, or when I'm looking at what the facts are, sports is the most unbelievable thing. You have a one-loss record at the end. There is no disputing whether or not you have a good team. It's right there in front of you, no matter what you say or thought, putting your team together. So just anecdotal in my mind is a synonym for not based on actual evidence.
David, do you think Adam Silver should still be the commissioner? If you were an owner of a team, would you want him to be the commissioner?
No, I actually would not. I believe the commissioners, and I think you're going to start seeing this more in the next wave of commissioners, they're going to be far more, instead of lawyers, they're going to be much more chairman and CEO of different types of companies. And leagues don't like going outside of themselves, but I think you're going to see that happen no matter how much discomfort that causes to owners, because the NFL, NBA, and MLB wants to be that. They want to be one of the top corporations, not the top sports. And to do that, you need some of the top corporate minds leading them.
Which is good. What Goodell says, he's like, we don't compete against the NBA or MLB anymore. We're competing against Apple and Google. Domonique, do you think Adam Silver should still be the commissioner?
Sure.
No, I'm dead serious. Not like just to disagree with David. Do you actually think he should be the commissioner moving forward? If you were looking at the best path for the NBA for the next 10 years, do you think that Adam Silver should theoretically be at the helm?
Yeah, I mean, it's without knowing who's going to replace him. Like, I don't feel great saying, like, just fire him. Anybody should be in there. I think that he has, ultimately, I would give him not a great grade for his running of this, but do you think his tenure will be viewed as, because he's had some highs in it, do you think it'll be viewed as the league is in a worse place if he's the commissioner for 5 more years? And what David is saying, it's just about TV deals, and the tanking doesn't change, and the competition, the regular season doesn't change, and the second apron has taken away dynastic teams in the way that we've been historic. Do you think we'll look at this as being something that was a successful 15-year run of him being a commissioner, despite the fact that the valuations have gone up? I don't know, David, you might have the answer, 500% or however much.
No, I'm sorry, Charlie, but what do you mean the second apron's taken away dynastic teams? Are you saying that in advance?
Yeah, it's harder to rate. Oklahoma City might be an exception to this because of the way that they operated before the second apron was put into place, where they were able to accumulate so many first-round picks and be able to trade around the fringes of continuing to bring in elite talent. But yeah, it's going to be considerably harder for teams, as we saw with Boston, to retain core pieces because of the second apron and getting pushing up against the hard cap. So like teams like a 73-win Warriors team that was able to add Kevin Durant because Dominique didn't smooth out the cap, or a Miami Big Three where people took less, or however far you want to go back to, like a Bulls team, a Lakers team, a Celtics team. Those things are going to be not exist in that exact same way because of a second apron.
Is it harder in football, Charlie?
Yes. I mean, at the
football's not comp. There's so many different things. There's no like.
I think so. Yeah. The introduction of free agency made it harder to build dynasties in football. It doesn't mean that you can't build them, but the biggest dynasty in football had the best player at the most important position taking a salary cut for most of his career
with a billionaire wife at the time.
Yeah,
all you need is salary cap circumvention, and you can build a dynasty if you know what you're doing.
Just got to cheat. Yeah. No, I think we'll let you go at this point, David. My ultimate thing is, I think, thank you so much, David, for joining us. Appreciate it. And Charlie, thank you. I think I realized that I just wish that we lived in a world with shame again. Because like a lot of the problems in the NBA would go away if people had shame. Like if you had the appropriate level of shame for tanking games, for pulling your starters at important moments, for bringing people on that you intend not to play, for trying to like game the system. Like there was a level of shame. At least you would pretend. Like at least shame would send you to a place where you would pretend like you're not doing this. I don't know when this changed. Maybe it was with Pablo and his piece about the process, where it made the process seem like it was smart. Like
it was smart.
It's not smart. You didn't figure out anything that no one else knew. Everyone else knew it. Like if my daughter made cupcakes last night, and there were 5 cupcakes in the house, I could have eaten all those cupcakes. But you know what? I got integrity and I would have been ashamed of myself. That's essentially what's happening, is they are a part of an NBA family and they don't have the level of integrity to not at least pretend. Because what I did was I ate them all, then I said I knocked them on the floor. No, I'm just joking. I didn't eat any of the cupcakes, but at least Shame would.
She only made 5. I feel like it's a very small batch of cupcakes.
No, it was a created scenario so that I could make this point. She made like 24.
I was about to say, like, if something's gone drastically wrong, if you have a batch and there's only 5 cupcakes.
She made 24, but my point is that's ultimately the problem, is that you have pretended like there's something smart about doing the obvious thing.
You just talked about Oklahoma City. They gamed the system, and that's worked.
That ain't smart, though. Like, gaming the system ain't smart. Like, everybody knows how to game the system. Stealing ain't genius. Whatever. Thanks, David. You're the man. Appreciate it. Have a good one. Bye, Charlie. I love you. Podville, we out.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.